Hey, so you've been considering a move to North Idaho, but you can't decide between Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint. Well, if that question's been keeping you up at night, you're in the right spot, because in response to numerous questions, I'm going to break down Sandpoint, Idaho and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, tell you some of the differences, some of the similarities, and let you decide which city is for you. So if that's the video you're after, you're in the right spot. Stick around to the very end, and I'll give you my personal opinion. All right, let's jump right in. Kristen, myself, and the rest of our team, we get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more information about North Idaho. So make sure to subscribe, tap that notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. And whether you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now, it doesn't matter. Give us a call, text, or email. We would love to help you make that smooth move right here to North Idaho. All right, the big question: Coeur d'Alene, Idaho or Sandpoint, Idaho? Which is the right city for you? Well, we're going to break it all down. I've got a ton of topics today to talk about. Some are a little edgy, some are not. So let's jump in. I think probably the first thing we should touch on is the distance between the two. It's about 42 miles, which equates to 45 minutes to an hour drive, depending on what part of, say, Coeur d'Alene you're in to there. Because, it could take about 15 minutes to get from downtown Coeur d'Alene to the northern edge of Coeur d'Alene. So plan on about 45 minutes to an hour, 42 miles apart. The size of the cities. So this is another factor that we should talk about. Coeur d'Alene is much bigger, obviously. We're looking at 16 square miles and a population of about 57,000 people. Sandpoint is about 4.5 square miles and the population is 9,700. For a size comparison, for example, both cities have their own police departments and fire departments. So that's something you might think about and we're curious about. They are both on a lake, although separate lakes. Sandpoint is on Lake Pend Oreille. Coeur d'Alene is on Lake Coeur d'Alene. Both vacation towns. Sandpoint has Schweitzer Mountain and Coeur d'Alene has the resort and downtown Coeur d'Alene, Sherman Avenue, all of that stuff. So they're very comparable in that way. One thing we should look at is the cost of living. So Coeur d'Alene, the median household income is $60,000. Median sale price on a home is $565,000. In comparison, Sandpoint, median income is $52,000, so it's down about $8,000. And the median sale price on a home in Sandpoint within the city limits is $599,000. That was as of October 23. So Sandpoint homes are selling for a higher price and the median household income is lower. Might be a challenge for you to live there, those downtown homes, although you can find homes under $400,000. We've made a video about that, so go looking for that. You can find it. They may not be super desirable and it depends on what kind of home you're looking for. So figure about $600,000 in Sandpoint and $565,000 in Coeur d'Alene. That's median sale price. Obviously, there's higher and lowers. Goods and services are pretty comparable between the two and probably pretty comparable to where you're coming from. Because they're in resort towns and because there's a high demand to live there, construction is booming and along with that, home remodels, things like that. So it can be hard to find workers for plumbers, electricians, things like that. And so that generally drives the price up as we have a supply and demand issue. Utilities are going to be pretty comparable between the two and likely much cheaper than wherever you're coming from, unless it's Arkansas. I don't actually know anything about Arkansas. I throw them down a lot, but I'm assuming things are cheaper there. Homeowners insurance is going to be cheaper than out of state, but pretty comparable between the two. We're only talking about 42 miles apart here. So something to keep in mind. Let's jump into weather. This is a big one for some people. Coeur d'Alene sees on average 174 days of sun every year. Their average rainfall is 27 inches and snowfall is 42 inches. Now, Sandpoint, they're looking at one extra day of sun a year. So they're sitting at 175 days and 31 inches of rain and quite a bit more snow. They're at 61 inches of snow on average. So that's 21 inches more than Coeur d'Alene. Depending on where you come from, that might not be that much. I grew up in the East Coast. That's not a lot of snow. You might see that in a heavy storm. So it's really not terrible, once again. But if you came from Arizona, it might be a lot of snow to you. Something to consider. But comparing the two cities, they are pretty similar, with Sandpoint taking the lead as far as amount of snow and just a little bit more precipitation in general. Let's talk about rent prices for a second. The median rent price in Coeur d'Alene for an apartment, so there's a range here, I'm going to give you a range, $925 to $2,000 a month. So that's for an apartment. Obviously, $925 is going to be a one bedroom. $2,000, you're probably pushing a 3-bedroom apartment. Homes in Coeur d'Alene for rent average between $700 and $6,000. I don't know where the 700 number comes from. I didn't physically lay my eyes upon it, but it's probably a shed. $6,000, I could see that. Some of these larger homes, particularly downtown or potentially a waterfront home for rent, could easily be in the $6,000 a month range. Sandpoint, fairly similar, slightly less on the apartment side. So they're starting at about $900 a month and going up to about $1,800 a month. And homes also, although on the low end of homes in Sandpoint, it's $1,375 to $3,400. So I bet you could find something a little less than that. I imagine you could find something, a single bedroom, comparable to Coeur d'Alene as well. So let's just say they're about even on the median rent price. I think that'd be pretty accurate to say. Okay, things to do in Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint. They both have amazing outdoor activities that you can take part in, and pretty similar. There's one major difference that we do need to talk about. Coeur d'Alene, obviously you have lake life, boating, all of that stuff, skiing, hiking, snowmobiling. The downtown, if that counts for things to do, sure it does. You can go downtown and go check out bars, go clubbing, whatever. Hunting, fishing community here is wonderful. And there's a large church community as well. Plus we have Triple Play, which is a indoor water park and arcade amusement, I guess indoor amusement park type thing. They have a few things outside as well. That's a pretty good attraction here in Coeur d'Alene. Sandpoint, I think, takes the cake because they have Schweitzer Mountain, which is 10 miles outside of Sandpoint, a short drive, and definitely a big boom for the economy there and a great thing to do. It's a world-class ski resort, beautiful lodges, tons of hotels, lots of development going on there, condos, things like that, and a really nice base lodge area. So some cool restaurants, coffee shops, all the favorite things to do. So I think that Sandpoint, it's a toss-up. Sandpoint has a wonderful downtown too, although a bit smaller than Coeur d'Alene. And they've, of course, have the beautiful city beach right there in Sandpoint, which is walking distance to their little downtown strip, similar to Coeur d'Alene. So there are a lot of similarities, Sandpoint being smaller, and that might appeal to you more. Coeur d'Alene can get crowded in the summer. If you go downtown for dinner in the summertime and don't make a reservation, you're going to be waiting a very long time, or you might not get in at all. So that's kind of the trade-off, right? Cool, beautiful resort town, very busy. Coeur d'Alene also has Tubbs Hill, which we've done a great video on. Search that one up. And Tubbs Hill is an amazing outdoor city park adjacent to the resort and McEwen Park and all of downtown Coeur d'Alene. And that's hikeables. You can swim there, cliff jumping, all that cool stuff is right there in Coeur d'Alene. Sandpoint doesn't have a park quite like that. They have an amazing city beach that feels like a step back in time, like you're in 1980 again, and it's totally cool. And then they have Schweitzer Mountain. So I guess that's personal preference because they're both pretty awesome and they both have some really amazing things. If you're a big skier, snowboarder, a mountain biking in the summer, then Sandpoint might take the cake for that because it's a really short drive from downtown Sandpoint to the mountain. Season passes are pretty reasonable, so especially if you buy them early. So there you go. Lots to do. Okay, schools. So this is one of those topics that I don't feel anybody should be able to tell you about because it's really a matter of opinion. We get asked that a lot. Hey, where are the good schools? Well, it depends because I might think it's a good school and you might not. Maybe I like the sports and you don't care about sports and you're into academics. So these are tough questions and I generally try to shy away from them. But let me just say that there are great options in both towns. And if you look at websites like niche.com, they sometimes break it down. You might get reviews from parents that actually have kids in those schools, and that can give you a much better idea. So if you ask a realtor and they tell you for sure one way or the other, and they don't have a kid in that school, take that with a grain of salt because they don't really know. So I won't throw that out there and tell you one way or the other, but I will say that they both have numerous public options, religious schools, private schools, homeschool co-ops, And they both have a ton. Obviously, Coeur d'Alene with a larger population is going to have more variety. So that could be a draw for you. They're a great STEM school down this way. It's in Rathdrum, but it's close enough. The private schools, it's all here. It's all there also. So if that's your driving factor, I wouldn't really worry about it because both cities have great options. All right. This could be a factor for some people. I get this question a lot. How far is it to Spokane International Airport? Because I need to travel for work or visit, whatever. Coeur d'Alene is 40 miles to Spokane International Airport, which is about a 40-minute drive because it's almost entirely freeway driving. Now, if you hit a crash on the way, good luck. Might take a while. That happened to me the other day. All right, Sandpoint is 77 miles to Spokane International Airport, which is about an hour and 25-minute drive. That's not that bad, either of them. Spokane's a great airport, and you can get international flights. You can get connecting flights to pretty much anywhere in the world. Easy to navigate. It's not so huge. You can't find your way around. It's easy to park. It's a great airport. So even being in Sandpoint and an hour and a half away, that's not a big deal. Coincidentally, Sandpoint is also only 64 miles to Canada. So you could hop up there, hop over the border, and then come back here to Freedom. Canada's beautiful. I don't have any bad issues with Canada. Just make sure you don't have any guns in your car when you're heading across the border. You don't like that. All right. Amenities. So Coeur d'Alene being a bigger city is obviously going to have more amenities. Coeur d'Alene has Kootenai Health. They've got the big hospital, which is a level 3 trauma center. And Sandpoint has Bonner General Hospital, which is a level 4 trauma center. To be honest, I do not know the difference between the two. I do know that if I were to be injured, I would rather be here in Coeur d'Alene at Kootenai. That's my guess. They do a great job, I think. I don't know personally with Sandpoint, but they do have a hospital. It is much smaller, but it's there, and they have a trauma center. So you've got both options there if someone were to get hurt. Coeur d'Alene, as far as amenities, also has Costco. That's another question we get a lot. Where's the nearest Costco? Well, there's one right here in Coeur d'Alene, and it is a very short drive. Now, it's also only an hour drive from Sandpoint. So if that's not a big deal and you only hit Costco once a month, that won't be a factor for you. Nice to know it's here at least. Coeur d'Alene also has more shopping variety as far as clothes, all the stores. Some more big box stores. You've got, Target, things like that if you shop there. And Sandpoint, they have some shopping. The downtown's cool. They've got some cool clothing stores there. And, whatever trinkety stuff. I don't know what to call it. Girl stuff. Then if you want, there are some big box stores in Ponderay, which is the next town north of Sandpoint. So they are very close by. You do not have a Costco, but you've got North 40, Walmart, bigger grocery stores. So there's plenty there. You could literally never have to leave that area. You would not have to come to Coeur d'Alene if you did not want to. They both have great food shop options. I've been very impressed with some restaurants in Sandpoint lately. I'm up there a lot. Smokesmith has barbecue so good that it will make you weep. It's that good. So I'm a big fan of that. Check that out if you're in Sandpoint. Smokesmith. They also have Joel's Tacos, which is phenomenal. Burger Doc. There's a ton. Those are just some of the ones downtown I'm mentioning. So great options. Coeur d'Alene has obviously more restaurants, and there are some phenomenal ones down here as well. But lately I've been pretty impressed with Sandpoint. So I guess that's probably a toss-up. Sandpoint has less options, but there are some very good ones. Coeur d'Alene, tons of options. Not an issue. Let's see. Gyms. Sandpoint has about 10 gyms of varying types. You've got your CrossFit. You've got more of a big box gym where you pay a low price and just go do your thing. And Coeur d'Alene has about 20 plus. Once again, bigger city, more population, more amenities. Coeur d'Alene also has more medical services, doctors, eye doctors, dentists, things like that. And more spas and skincare type places. All the fancy stuff the ladies are into these days. Botox, whatever. Coeur d'Alene's going to have more of that. But once again, it's an hour drive. If you wanted to live in Sandpoint, it's not that big a deal. All right, here's a hot topic. Politics. Dun, dun, dun. Kootenai County, which is the county that Coeur d'Alene is in. It is 27% Democrat, 70% Republican, and 3% independent. Next to that, Sandpoint is 30% Democrat, so a little bit higher, 67% Republican, and 3% independent. So slightly different, still leaning more conservative overall. And that's in Bonner County. So Bonner County is Sandpoint and some other towns up that way. I had to go with counties. It's just the only info I could find. So Bonner County in general is slightly less conservative, very slightly, 3%. Not that big a deal. Here's one that might bug you, or might not. Coeur d'Alene, the mayor, Jim Hammond, he's a Republican. Some like him, some don't. And Sandpoint, the mayor, Shelby Ronstad, he's a Democrat. That actually surprised me. I figured that out, and I was a little shocked by that one. I'm sure that bothers some people up there. I don't know. The opinion I hear a lot is that Sandpoint is more liberal and more hippie. Driving around and being in the town, I don't feel that vibe necessarily. It is a little more artsy. It has the same amount of healthy food stores, if that's your indicator, and organic food, which I like, so I'm good with that. I don't care. But those are some of the things I hear from people. So if you're worried about that, obviously Sandpoint is slightly less conservative, because I can't even say it's liberal because it's still 67% Republican. Slightly less conservative than Kootenai County, where Coeur d'Alene is. That might be an issue for you. I don't see any of them turning anything other than conservative anytime soon. Most of the people that are moving here tend to be conservative and understand, the value of their rights, because they're coming from some place that they don't like the politics, the way of life. So they don't want that. They come here because this is what they want. So I think most of them tend to vote to keep things the way they are. So I think that's pretty important. We don't want to change the way of life here. So in conclusion, between the two cities, really, it's going to be an opinion that's up to you. I can't tell you one way or the other. I can only lay out the facts for you and things I hear and things that I see as far as which one is better for you. Sandpoint, smaller town, really bikeable, really walkable, great restaurants, lots of things to do, beautiful natural setting. Coeur d'Alene, busier, more traffic, more things to do, more amenities, beautiful downtown, like really beautiful downtown, amazing lake also. They have a lot of similarities. So it might come down to the lifestyle that you're looking for and how you want to raise your family. Sandpoint's a smaller town. Coeur d'Alene, even though it's a bigger city, it's still pretty darn safe compared to most places out there. I let my kids walk around downtown unsupervised. They are getting older now, so it's not as big an issue, but still, even when they were a little bit younger, I was not worried about it. The safety here is amazing. You don't see gang activity. You don't see graffiti for the most part. You don't see homeless people in either city. So either way, in that regard, they're pretty awesome. Now, I told you I'd give you my opinion, and here it is. If I did not have to work, say I was retired, and I had the option, I would live north of here. I would live near Sandpoint. I like it up there. It's a little bit more rugged. It's less populated. However, for work and for raising my kids the way I want to raise them, I need to be near a larger area. So that puts me in Coeur d'Alene for now. So that's my opinion. If I had the choice, I would live north near Sandpoint and call it good. Hey, hopefully I answered some questions for you guys. Maybe I left you with more questions. And if that's the case, the best thing that you can do is call me, text me, or email me and ask me those questions directly, and I can answer them for you. I spend a lot of time in both of them. I go through a lot of neighborhoods. I have a lot of connections here, so I get a lot of feedback on both areas, and I can possibly help make that decision for you or give you the information that you need to make that decision. So even if you're thinking about moving like a year down the road, let's start that conversation. Give me a holler and shoot me an email. That's pretty non-committal, and we can have that conversation. I'd love to steer you in whatever direction you need to be steered in and get you that information. So thank you guys, and I will catch you on the next video.